When I was at Columbia Law School, I wrote a note in the Journal of Arts and the Law on a subject that was troubling to me at the time. The world-famous Rockettes, the dancing emblem of New York City, then were all white. Was that legal? I felt there was a deep conflict between the First Amendment and laws against discrimination. The New York Times then asked me to write an op-ed piece that appeared on Friday, May 31st, 1985. Very shortly thereafter, the Rockettes had their first Asian American dancer. Then, the first black dancer was added to the line. I never knew who she was, but knowing we were presenting this program on diversity, I hunted her down. Here she is, the first black Rockette, Jennifer Jones. Okay, here we are. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us with Columbia Alumni Leaders Experience. It is really a thrill to meet you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for reaching out. I couldn't be more thrilled.
Well, we've been discussing a number of groundbreakers in the diversity realm in the performing arts. And we have you now as someone who is possibly not an intentional groundbreaker. Tell me, how did you get to the Rockettes? Did you grow up knowing about them? How did the audition go? And how did it happen that you were the first person of color on the stage at Radio City?
I always wanted to dance since I was a little girl. I loved the stage. I was very shy growing up, but being on stage was a place where I just felt at home and I could express myself. My parents were big Broadway people and they would see Broadway shows all the time. And when The Wiz was popular on Broadway in the 70s, they took us to see it 5 times. I fell in love with the characters, the staging, the lighting, the singing, and one of my favorite parts was waiting backstage for the actors to walk out of the stage door and ask them for autographs. And I always thought, one day I want to be walking out of that stage door. So growing up, I always had that innate feeling in me, and I wanted to work on Broadway. Many years later, I started studying at Broadway Dance Center under Frank Hatchett, my mentor. And I was 18 years old, learning the rules of the business, learning the tricks of the trade, how to audition, what to wear, how to wear your makeup, how to do your hair. And I started getting music videos and little modeling jobs. And there's a trades paper that came out every week called Backstage, and they would have a list of auditions, whether it was for Broadway, off-Broadway, music videos, and the Rockettes audition was in there. So I was among my peers and we're looking through the trades paper, as we always did every Thursday. And I saw the Rockettes auditioned and I went by it. I didn't know who the Rockettes really were or what they did. And one of my friends said to me, she said, Jennifer, you should audition for the Rockettes. You would be a perfect Rockette. You're tall enough, you're talented, you should do it. And I was like, I don't really know who they are or what they do. But I was still very green in the business and I was very nervous at auditions, still trying to get, the flooring under my feet, learning how to pick up the choreography quickly. So I thought, well, maybe I'll go and I'll just use this as a basis to get over my nerves. So that morning I woke up and I think the audition was at 9:30, 10 o'clock, which is about the time I arrived. And there were a line of ladies wrapped around the music hall. So I got in the back of the line and I thought, I'm going to be here all day. And I looked at my watch and I'm like, I'm missing Frank Hatchett's jazz class. Maybe I should go. And I said, no, I'm here in New York to, really do this trade. And I need to stay on this line. So they took us in a little at a time and they would take us into the small rehearsal hall to warm up in groups of 20, about 20 people. And I was in there and I was warming up, and it was a very intimidating process for me because all the ladies are beautiful, all the ladies are white, and legs for days. And I thought, what am I doing here? So the stage manager came in and he said, I'll call you in groups of 10, bring me your comm card, which we had to fill out with our name and address and, just basic information. Bring me your headshot and resume and have your tap shoes in your hand because we're going to measure you first, but you're going to be tapping, so have them with you. So I didn't have a picture and resume, and I didn't have a pair of tap shoes. So I got in line and I just handed my comm card, and he took us into the large rehearsal hall, and we had to walk against the back of the wall. And there were about, I would say, 10 to 15 people at the front of the room who were watching the audition. As I was walking along the back of the wall, I just felt like all eyes were on me. You know, when you get that feeling and you get that rush and that heat in your face and, the sweatiness, I felt like, oh my gosh, I think they're watching me. So I went and I got measured, and I made the cut for the height requirement. And then I put on my character shoes because I did not have tap shoes. Mm-hmm. So we went out to the middle of the floor.
And this time you were like 19 years old? 18?
I was 19 years old.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So I put on my character shoes, and the choreographer, Violet Holmes at the time, did not teach in counts of 5, 6, 7, 8, but she counted in ba-dee-dily-dee, ba-dee-dily-da, ba-dee-dily-dee-dily-da. So I had to learn the tap combination in ba-deedles and ba-doddles. And then we had to do some eye-high kicks to show that we could, kick our legs up. And they said, okay. And I walked to the back of the room to grab my belongings. And the stage manager came up to me and he said, Jennifer, we're giving you a call back. Bring your picture and resume and bring your tap shoes. So it was a few days later. And at that time, there weren't any computers. I had to come back home. I had to find out one of my old headshots that I had from my modeling days in high school. I had to print out a resume, and I brought my tap shoes that I had at the house, and I went back to the audition. And I went back to the audition. There was one other Black woman there who was on Broadway at the time. And that was the only other woman of color that I saw at that audition. So I did my audition, and afterwards I grabbed my belongings again and started walking out, and the stage manager ran up to me and he said, Jennifer, he said, how old are you? And I said, 19. He said, okay, thank you. And that was it. And I didn't hear for months later.
Months, okay. So meanwhile, obviously you weren't aware of the Rockettes. Did you have any idea that this is never had a person of color on the stage before? So you didn't have any preconceptions and no nervousness on that point. And obviously no reason to say, well, this is futile. Why should I do this? You just went ahead and did it.
Correct.
Right.
I did not know the history of the Rockettes at all.
Yes, so there was no special outreach then. There was, it's not like you got a call from some organization looking for a person of color who wants to be a Rockette. It was just completely serendipitous.
Yes. From what I understand, there were the woman who worked on Broadway that was at the audition. She knew that they were looking for a woman of color, but I had no idea.
Okay, so at that point they had made their mind up to do that. So what was the reception then once you got there? And you're obviously a different person. How did people respond to you?
I got mixed responses. And I just want to backtrack just 1 second. I think there's a piece of importance that happened when I was hired. Violet Holmes called me and asked me to be on the line and do Super Bowl halftime show 22. And I said, yes, I would do it. that night, I was sitting on my couch, and Sue Simmons came on the Channel 4 News, and
yes,
she's
the TV announcer, the news person.
Yes, on News 4.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, Radio City has just hired their first Black Rockette. And I said, I wonder who that is. They did not tell me that I was the first woman of color or first Black woman to be on the line. It was just kind of, I found out on the news. My mother called me. She said, Jennifer, is that you? And I said, I don't know. Nobody said anything. So after that, they put me in training for interviews and radio interviews, television interviews, and they gave me a little bit of history about the Rockettes. Mm-hmm. And they did say at one point that Violet Holmes was misquoted. And I was like, why do they keep telling me that Violet Holmes was misquoted? They never told me really what the line was.
Right.
But the line was that having a Black woman, I'm paraphrasing, but having a Black woman on the line would certainly detract from the precision, which is the hallmark of the Rockettes.
Right.
So that's what I later learned that she was misquoted about saying. Mm-hmm. But the reception was, I got very welcomed reception from Radio City, some of the ladies on the line, and the general, people around the country. Mm-hmm. But I also did receive hate mail. There were ladies who did not want me on the line and made that very well known. Mm-hmm. And there were people in management who really did not want me to be there and did somewhat set me up to fail, I feel, in a way.
Mm-hmm. Which obviously you did not. How long did you dance with them?
I was a Rockette for 15 years.
That's amazing. Listen, I have to ask you, because as you know, I wrote this article, and I was looking for some results, but, I had a life. I had other things to do. I wasn't, checking the status of the Rockettes every day. But then some time later, I saw an ad, I believe, in the subway showing the Rockettes, Christmas is coming, here are the Rockettes. And I saw that there was one or two persons of colors in this line. Were you in that subway ad?
Yes, I was.
Wonder if we can find it. I would just love to see that.
Yes.
So let me ask you, how did that, obviously, if you spend 15 years working the Rockettes, that's a real career. And in show business, that is a totally amazing career with probably you have benefits and all that stuff. But how did it affect your life and your future after that? The fact that you had this in your background.
I feel and felt very blessed to be able to do something that I loved and get paid for it. Mm-hmm. The Rockettes at the time, it was rostered. So there were 36 women who were rostered on the line that got benefits all around, got maternity leave, got leave of absences. So I was able to have a full life. Mm-hmm. I had Jennifer Jones Dance and Fitness Studio in the off season. I was also Miss Morris County from Randolph, New Jersey. And that I was also the first Black title also. So I was able to do other things. I have two beautiful children. I had them when I was a Rockette. Mm-hmm. And even after the Rockettes, I transitioned over to Broadway. So it really did give me a platform to transition and follow the dream that I always wanted to do and walk out of that Broadway backstage door.
That is really amazing. Yes, and having been a Rockettes, it's been a tremendous influence on your life. And I think you told me that you have some projects coming up having to do with your experience?
I do. So I have a children's book that's been purchased by HarperCollins, which will be out in the fall of 2022, about hoping that parents can see that innate talent in their child and foster that and help that grow, and having the child be, wanting to learn more about whatever they're interested in, whether it's football or cheerleading or dancing, whatever that talent is that's innately in them. That is my goal. And I also have my memoir that I'm shopping right now. And I'm also working on a television project, which I hope I can talk about more in depth soon.
Okay, great. Well, Jennifer, thank you very much. It's just been a magical experience for me. to see you in person for the very first time, and I hope it's not the last time. And good
Me
luck
too.
with all your other projects. And on behalf of Columbia, thank you very much.
And thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very